Hi everyone, Dr. Kinsley here. I apologize that we had technical difficulty with Adobe Connect this morning, but I'm going to record sort of what we were going to go over anyway, and then if you have questions, you can just email me those questions, or we can meet in Google Hangouts, or anything you'd like to do virtually. There's Zoom. We can try Adobe Connect again. We will be using Adobe Connect throughout the semester, but it just kind of glitched this morning for me. But this is going to work just fine. So I just wanted to sort of introduce myself and tell you a few things about the course that you probably already know, but they're sort of what through the years I've kind of decided are like the things that are easy to forget. And also things that kind of remembering them will help the course move more smoothly for you. It is an incredibly fast-paced course. We're already at the end of week 2, which is crazy because we've only been in a group together for a week, a little bit less than a week actually. So it is really fast, but you're well on your way into project 1. I just want to say that from what I've read so far, you are just a bright, beautiful, enthusiastic group. I've really enjoyed reading your invention work and your icebreakers, and I am just so excited to be working with you. I can't wait to see what you do with the projects and with your portfolios. That being said, one of the things that's really important to remember is that you consistently work on your reflections. The portfolio is a huge part of your grade, and it's a project that sort of takes place in the background of the course until the middle and the end. So, but it's such an important part, and it's easy to let that go by the wayside when you're having to fulfill, assignments that you're being graded on, every day. So one of the things I suggest is that you keep a weekly, really, I highly suggest daily, even if it's just sort of a sentence every day, but some sort of reflection that you're keeping up with constantly that thinks about the WPA and habits of mind, so that, well, I'll get to other 2 things in a minute, but for the WPA and habits of mind, you really want to sort of reflect on them. Just take a few minutes. I mean, it just takes a few minutes every day and think, how have I used these today? And it doesn't have to be in the course. It can just be in life. And remember that composition is happening all around us all the time. It's not just writing, right? It's not just like essay documents. It's the way people choose to dress is a rhetoric. The way houses are constructed, the way that we decide what our Starbucks coffee will look like, right? Like all of these things are a rhetoric. They're a way of communicating to each other, a way of interacting with the world. So even if you feel like you're not always composing in a traditional sense, you are always producing some sort of rhetoric, and the world around you is as well. So as you think about the WPA and the HOM and transfer and your theory of writing, remember that you are constantly composing in one way or another. So just kind of open your mind to that and take a few minutes every day to just record very briefly your thoughts, because the point of the portfolio is to have this record of your journey through the course, but that's not just the work you do in the course. That's everything that's happening around you in your life for the next 6 weeks, right? And beyond, hopefully. While this is a very fast-paced course, the idea, the goal behind it is to give you some tools that will transfer into the rest of your life, the rest of your journey through composing, whether that be writing, whether that be speaking to other people or coming up with ideas, right? These are just tools that you get to take with you beyond this course. So just something to start thinking about. We'll talk more about that as we approach the semester, well, mid-course reflection. So keep those things in mind, though. Okay. I just really wanted to emphasize that we are constantly writing and we are constantly revising, and our theory of writing is constantly changing. Even if you are not fully aware that you have a theory of writing yet, you do. And one of the fun things we get to do in this course is find that theory of writing and then also begin to watch it evolve and watch it change. I am constantly changing as a writer, and I think that one of the best ways to access our best writing is through the reflection that we do about ourselves as writers. And sometimes that takes place on paper, right? Sometimes we're writing about it, but a lot of writing takes place off the screen or off paper, right? Just whether we're working out or taking a walk or just watching TV even, right? In the back of your mind, you can be thinking of yourself in relation to the world, and so much of that has to do with writing. So again, this is a skill that you get to take with you beyond this course, and you probably already do it, whether you're aware of it or not. So very exciting, I think. Okay, I think that's enough about that for now. I'm going to share the PowerPoint with you. Hopefully, bear with me with this. I'm trying a new technology here, which is very exciting, but hopefully it will work. All right, I think this is gonna work. This is very exciting. Okay, so I just wanted to cover some brief tips that kind of are, again, easy to forget, and you'll just have this sort of keeping things in your memory. So for contacting people, like who you want to email with certain questions, you can email me with just about every question out there. If it's a technology question, then you'll want to contact the appropriate people. But in terms of grades, if you want feedback on writing, and this doesn't just have to be an assignment that's due, it can be an assignment before it's due, it can be a piece of assignment before it's due, it can be a rewriting of an assignment, like maybe you wanted to strengthen an aspect of your invention work and you just want that practice, you can write that paragraph and email it to me, and you can get more feedback. Your feedback is not constricted by just the assignments that are due. It can be happening constantly. So you can email me about that. So brainstorming, invention work, if you have no clue where to start, you can email me and say, here are some ideas I have, but I don't know what to do with them. I don't know how to proceed from here or what questions to ask, right? And so we can start a dialogue if you're feeling. If you are questioning who to email, this is kind of an idea of who to email. So you can email me about grades. You can email me for feedback beyond the parameters of the assignment. You can, if you want to discuss, where to go with an assignment, or if you've already turned in an assignment and you just want the extra practice, you can send me revisions of that assignment and I'll give you more feedback. If you have questions about how to get started or what to think about, send me what ideas you already have, and then we can kind of create a dialogue from there. I do, if you're feeling really nervous, I know some of you have talked about anxiety as writers, or if you feel like, you had sort of a rough start into this course, you can always send me drafts of your assignments before they're due and get feedback that way. Just make sure it's, well before it's due. I'm not staying up till midnight. So, you know, think about when my day might end and, try to work ahead so that if you do want feedback, you can do that and you have time to revise before the assignment is due. You can ask me pretty much anything about the portfolio. If it's technology based, you probably want to contact education, but I could probably answer most technology based questions. Maybe, we'll see. I'm sure today's example of my abilities with technology is probably pretty showing, but I have been working with the portfolios for a few years now, so I have some idea of what's going on. But anything in terms of content with the portfolio, or if like you want me to look at your portfolio along the way outside of the checkpoints, just send me the link and say, hey, could you look at this? I want to know about these design elements, anything like that, right? Or if you just want to talk about writing, I've really enjoyed conversations with past students who just, whether it's writing in other courses, even if it's, lab reports or poetry or just, even like work that you're doing for your job or your career outside of school. If you just have thoughts about rhetoric and composition, like, this is what I do with my life. And so I love it. And I love to talk about it. And I love to hear your thoughts, because the more you share with me, the more knowledge I get to gain. And really, that's what I'm most passionate about. And that's what I think we're all here for. And so don't be shy. Definitely don't be shy. Okay. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Figuring things out. Okay. For Lily, who is a spectacular writing mentor, I think you're really going to enjoy working with her. She is here to interact with you on the discussion boards. So if you have questions about discussion boards, you can email her. You can still email me too, of course, but she is very excited to be working with you there. Any questions you have about peer reviews, again, you can email both of us, but maybe interact with Lily first. But always you can CC me, or or you can just talk to Lily. You whatever feels comfortable to you. That's why you have so many resources in this course. She's also here to help with the drafting and revising process. She will be holding workshops throughout the semester or throughout the course, and I highly, highly suggest you sign up for those. There's very limited space, but everyone throughout the time that Lily and I have been working together who has signed up for a workshop has done exceptional on their final draft. Maybe it's a coincidence. It's probably not, but it's something to think about as you move forward. It does require that you prepare in advance, right? But again, it's going to be a rewarding experience to do so. She also loves talking about writing. So if you have any questions for her about that, or you just have some thoughts, I think she will love it. And as she said in her introductory email to you, she does work in the sciences. So, again, this is not an English course, right? This is a writing course, and that transfers out into every aspect of life, anything you might be doing. And of course, that she's here to help you with your writing as a peer. And she will also enjoy any brainstorming questions you have. If you are having trouble uploading assignments or accessing material in the course, contact Blackboard, but also email me to let me know that you are having those difficulties. So for instance, one of your fellow students couldn't access one of the assignment sheets, and so she emailed me well in advance, which is important, and asked for that assignment sheet, and so she was able to get that document in time to submit the assignment. In the past, it rarely happens, but every so often someone can't submit an assignment, or they're worried that they haven't submitted it, or they're getting zeros even though on their end it looks like they're submitting it. If that happens, you need to email me as soon as possible. Really, you're supposed to email me about it before the assignment is due. So if it's 11:50 Arizona time and you are not able to, for whatever reason, you can't get your assignment uploaded, you need to email me before 11:59 in order to not receive a zero for that assignment. If you email me after that, then I'm bound by the contract of the syllabus to give you a zero. So, but again, that so rarely happens, and we will talk about it, if that does happen. And then, of course, Digication. If you're having trouble with the permissions of your portfolio, formatting your portfolio, people not being able to access it, or if you want limited accessibility, any kind of technical questions, the Digication folk are just amazing and enthusiastic and very knowledgeable, and really, really want you to succeed with the portfolio. So, do reach out to them if you have any concerns. Okay, I'm gonna have a sip of tea real quick. All right. Where to submit assignments. There are often multiple places where you need to submit assignments. So, for instance, peer reviews and drafts of the major projects need to be submitted in both the discussion board and the Blackboard module. If you are submitting in only one of those spots, you're going to get a zero. So you have to submit in both places. So just be vigilant with that. It's not anything to be stressed about. Just be very aware. When you submit the portfolio reflections, so the pre-course reflection, the mid-course reflection, and then of course the final portfolio, you need to submit the link to that assignment in order to get the rubric that we use to grade or to get your grade, really. So if you haven't already done that with the pre-course reflection, go ahead and do that. I already know by looking through Digication that you've finished the pre-course reflection, so it's not, you're not cheating or turning it in late or anything like that. It's just that we need those links for continuity's sake. So make sure you're submitting those links. Let's see, what else? Yeah, we'll talk about drafts in a minute. Okay. Also in the discussion board is the space where you sign up for workshops with Lily. She will open up those spaces once the project 1 draft is due. And then you will hopefully have feedback from me before you sign up for a workshop with Lily. But as soon as those spots open up, I would say just sign up for one right away and post your draft in whatever, that you've already submitted. Now, that being said, one of the things I am going to do for this particular group is, if you sign up for a workshop with Lily, I will grade I will give you feedback on your draft first. So, you will have access to my feedback. You might be able to revise and then get more feedback from Lily, and then revise and then get more feedback from me, and then revise, right? So you're getting a lot more revision work done that way, and a lot more feedback. So just something to think about. I'll remind you all as we draw closer to that. Okay, so the reason I sort of like hesitated when I said grade your draft is because for the drafting process, so we have invention work, which we're still in the middle of. So this isn't just the first invention assignment. This is observation notes. This is thinking about secondary sources. All of this is invention work. So you're really thinking through a lot of ideas and questions in order to narrow your topic. And as you narrow your topic, you want to do so with purpose. So you're not just giving us an overview of the group you're profiling. You are thinking, what particular insight into this group do I want to show my audience? If you have questions about that, email me. I think so far you're all headed in the right direction. And as you submit more invention work, you're going to get more feedback, and I can kind of check along the way. But you know, really emphasizing having purpose to your profile. And the purpose is not just to share information. It is to reveal something about the group that we might not notice without you showing, explaining, and analyzing the profile of the group. So it's really fun. It's like a puzzle. If you feel overwhelmed about it right now, don't, take a deep breath, email me, and we can definitely work something out. So again, I think the big theme so far in today's lecture is to email me as much as possible. Don't hesitate. We can work together, and I think, you know, that's the most rewarding part of this course for me. And I think it can help add clarity for you. So yes, okay, enough on that. Once you start in on the first draft, the reason I was hesitant about saying grading is that first draft, the rough draft, that is due, you are graded on completeness, so that you have secondary sources, that it's formatted correctly, you have the length requirement, that it has a general idea of where it's going and what it's doing, but it's not graded on content. So it doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, if you do that, you're going to be further along in the process. But if you're stressed about that and that's causing a lot of writer's block and writer's anxiety, know that you don't need to worry about that. You just need to get a full draft on paper, including sources. And I think that usually that works out really well for people. So, and I'm not worried about you. You as a group are already just very much impressing me. So keep it up. Then you have a revision plan. A lot of times people will gloss over this, but it is a really important part of your writing process. And in fact, even though, I've been writing professionally for so long, and I've been a student, or had been a student for so long, and even through the process of writing a dissertation, no one ever suggested a revision plan to me. I think I, always kind of would jot down notes for myself, especially for a project that was really long, like an article or a dissertation. I'd sort of have notes of what I wanted to do to revise. And of course you revise over and over and over again. But when I first started teaching this course, and there was this revision plan assignment, I thought, oh my gosh, genius. Why did no one ever tell me about this? Or why didn't I think of it myself, right? It's just such a good idea. And so since then, for 3 years now, I've been doing revision plans for everything I write. And of course, these aren't assignments. It's just for myself. And it's invaluable because it forces you to start revising, really. It forces you to think through in a low stakes environment, away from whatever you're writing. What specific ideas do I need to employ to better this draft, to improve this draft? And so what will happen is, if you really force yourself to be specific, you will start writing and you will start gaining content that you can then just like pick up and put straight into your project. My hope is that by telling you this, that we all have really thorough, specific, analytical revision plans, because this is very important work that makes your life a lot easier in the long run. You don't have to be stressing over it, but it is simply work that helps you. So something to think about. And if you have questions, please email me. And also, you can always email me your revision plans ahead of time. I've found that is really helpful for some people, so keep that in mind as well, right? You could get feedback from me and just immediately start a revision plan and send it to me, and then, everything is fresh in our minds, and I can say that's a good idea, or, keep going, or add to that, or don't do that, right? Like, just sort of, again, creating that dialogue about your draft. And another important thing to remember is that at the end of the day, this is your draft. So, whatever Lily or I might say about the draft or your peers, you get to decide what you want to do with it. Feedback are just suggestions, right? There's just a way to broaden our perspective. So keep that in mind. And again, I already said that, you can always email Lily and I drafts as you revise. I think the record of drafts that I've looked at outside of the assignments that are due, the record in all of my teaching was 18, but in a short 8-week course, that's not necessarily possible. But I think maybe 5 or 6, which is a lot, right, in such a short amount of time. But I say that not to challenge you to do that, but that there is no limit to how much you want to work with us, right? And again, you don't have to, right? This is your journey. And saying that, I want to emphasize one more time, do please constantly reflect on this journey and include that in your portfolio. And then you have the final draft that you turn in, but it is still a draft. You can revise it before you put it in the portfolio and talk about that. You can revise it later, you can, whatever, but remember that it is still a draft. It is not, done by any means. Okay. I'm gonna quickly go over this because I feel like I've been talking for a while now, but with that invention work and that drafting, really, really spend a lot of time thinking, questioning, collecting, categorizing that data, organizing it, because what will happen is you want to get as much information as you can, as much evidence and thought and question that you can, and then you want to start seeing, which goes with which. It's kind of like Sesame Street, like one of these things is not like the others, right? So you want to just start putting all that information into sets that you think belong together, either thematically, informatively, right? Whatever that may look like. And as you analyze that information, you can see what doesn't really belong, what might go into information for like a different purpose, and your purpose will start to reveal itself to you, and you can start thinking about what more information you need to collect, what more you need to explain, more questions you have as you start to winnow that purpose. So really think about categorizing and organizing your data after you collect a lot of it, right? And then you'll need to collect more, because you'll start to see, as we organize, we see where holes are and where what we need to do to fill in that information and that synthesis. So constantly writing and rewriting, but it's fun. Over to the right of the screen here, we just have kind of my real quick, every time you introduce an idea in your draft, you want to, first of all, introduce the idea, and how does it connect to your purpose? Provide evidence, explain that evidence, analyze that evidence, and then synthesize that evidence, which is sort of like drawing the conclusions for your readers. Don't let your readers wander off on their own. Hold their hand through the map of your paper. Okay, and we will talk about more about that as we get closer to project one. Okay. Again, very briefly, I just want to say peer review is an incredibly important step in the writing process. It allows you to read others' writing and provide insights from a different perspective. It also teaches us a lot about our own writing, even though it may not seem like it will. It does. And whether that's, oh, I didn't think about writing like this, or, oh, I think I'd do this differently. It's a really important process. And I know I always shied away from it as a student because I was incredibly shy and I just didn't want, and I also felt like I wasn't a good writer. And so I didn't want people to read it because I just didn't know what they would say. And I feel like I really missed out. Now as a scholar, I have to participate in the peer review process. And I've realized that I did miss out as a student by being so hesitant and resistant to peer review, because it isn't about someone criticizing your work and it isn't about you judging their work. It's about presenting other perspectives, right? It's about sharing knowledge and ideas. And in the context of this course, it's an incredibly supportive, very directed process that is very rewarding. So take it very seriously, be very kind. One of the things that happens that breaks my heart is that not everyone's paper gets reviewed. So I'll send out a reminder when the peer reviews do, but if someone has 5 peer reviews and other people have none or one, choose somebody who's not getting reviewed, because it's not about picking an easy paper or a good paper. It's about learning from each other regardless, right? So we'll get more into that as we get closer. Again, do workshops with Lily, do the peer review, do the revision plan, ask for further feedback. Sometimes a lot of writing takes place when we're not writing, when we're just meditating through life, working out, right? If you're getting frustrated, take a break and clear your mind, and it might come to you. Finally, I want to talk about portfolios and reflections. I think I've emphasized reflections a lot in this sort of little mini lecture. Definitely reflect all the time. Constantly add to that. Think about how you're charting your theory of writing, how you're journeying through life, right? Every time you email me or interact with people outside of this course, try to find a WPA or an HOM that fits with that, right? And of course, as you work on your projects, definitely do that. So a couple of things that are often missing from portfolios. One is that the reflections are not multimodal. There are a lot of different ways to do this. You could do video recordings of yourself thinking through the reflection, or just maybe part of the reflection, like maybe transfer. You can think like, oh, I did these things in life in the last couple of weeks, and this is how they transferred through my writing. We'll talk more about transfer and theory of writing again later in the course. So that they're multimodal. Oh, so videos are one way, including examples from your paper. Don't include the whole paper because that's not specific evidence. So, you know, just include bits. Maybe images that that reflect how you feel. I've seen a couple of really interesting cartoons included in portfolios. What else have people done? Oh, they've included the links to other parts of their portfolio. That's multimodal, right? You know, think about how you're interacting with your portfolio. You can kind of create a meta-analysis there. And there are lots of different ways. I'll see if I can compile a list for you of ideas, and maybe you'll add to that list. That would be wonderful. So another thing I often see missing in the reflections is that they're not balanced. So for some reason, you know, WPA outcomes tend to be sort of nicely explained and analyzed. And then oftentimes habits of mind will be really, really short, or transfer will be really short. Theory of writing will be a sentence that's like, I don't have a theory of writing. But if you look at the rubric, they're all weighted the same. All four of those sections are the same. So they need to be equal, right? They need to be balanced in their evidence and analysis and explanation, and the conclusions that you're drawing from the experience that you're having. Okay, I think that's enough on that. Two more things. Think about the overall theme and purpose of your portfolio as you write about your about me, your homepage, you know, the reflections. Think about what goal, what feeling, what purpose, what theme, what motif, even kind of you want to promote to your audience. So think about how all the moving parts work together for a purpose. Also make sure that you have landing pages, they're called. Really, it's just some kind of explanation of why you're including everything. So oftentimes under, you know, project one draft, it'll just be project one draft. But I'm not your only audience. So, and your peers aren't your only audience. You know, whether you set the permissions outside of the writer's studio or not, you want to think about your audience as outside of the writer's studio. Even if they never see it, that's who your audience is. So you want to explain why you're including it, how it fits into the overall purpose as you see it, right? Your personal journey, not the writer's studio necessarily. So just explain everything that you're including, and you will do wonderfully on the final portfolio. Okay. I feel like that was a lot. I hope that it made sense. Hopefully you can still hear me. And oh, I'm not sure if you can still hear me. I think you can. Anyway, I just wanted to say good luck and goodbye, and email me about anything. Okay. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.